Hey there, TikTakers! We are pretty sure that among you there are many fans of science fiction stories of mad scientists and other megalomaniacs who play to be gods and end up failing. And maybe you think that they all came from Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, the English writer. But the truth is that the origin of these stories comes from farther back, nothing less than from classical Greece and the myth of Prometheus. Prometheus belonged to the second generation of Titans. He was the son of Iapetus, a descendant of Gaia and Uranus, the primordial Titan who represented the sky, and who was castrated by his other son, Cronus, with the help of Iapetus himself. As for who his mother was, different theories exist depending on the poet telling the story. Many people claim that it was the oceanic climbing, daughter of Oceanus, the Titan of the waters, and Thetis, goddess of fresh water. Although others claim that it was also the sea nymph Asia, patron of the continent and mother of Achilles, the famous hero of the Trojan War. In addition to Prometheus, the couple had 3 more children: Atlas, Epimetheus, and Menicius, an authentic legendary family since each one had their own epic story. Atlas was condemned by Zeus, the king of the gods, to hold the sky on his shoulders. Epimetheus had his role in the myth of Pandora, and Menicius died struck by a lightning that Zeus himself threw during the Titanomachy, the war that faced gods and titans. Belonging to such an epic family, Prometheus was destined to leave his mark in history, especially since, as they say, he was the most cunning and rogue of the 4 brothers. And he wasn't afraid of anything or anyone, not even the gods. He even dared to face the most powerful of them, the king of Olympus, Zeus. And he did it in favor of men. In fact, Prometheus was revered and appreciated by the Greeks because he was the great benefactor of humanity. His story begins at a time when gods and men still lived together and the latter still ignored evils such as disease or suffering. Zeus was named king of Olympus, and among his first decisions was to define which honors and functions corresponded to the gods and which to humans. He gave this task to the Titan Prometheus, and he accepted it, but with the idea of deceiving Zeus to benefit humans. For this, he invented the sacred sacrifice. He killed and dismembered an ox and separated it into 2 parts. One of them contained only the bones but disguised under a palatable layer of fat. In the other, he put all the meat and the edible part, camouflaged on the skin and the viscera, which gave it an unpleasant appearance. Zeus was in charge of choosing which part would be for the gods, and he fell into the trap selecting the part of fat and bones. Since then, in sacrifices, the Greeks burned the bones of the animals to offer them to the gods and ate the meat. But of course, this couldn't end well. Zeus raged in anger over Prometheus' trick and decided to punish mankind by depriving them of fire. Without it, men could not cook meat and were forced to eat it raw, like animals. Given this, Prometheus took pity on them and decided to intervene once again. He climbed Mount Olympus, and from the fort of Hephaestus, the god of fire and patron of metallurgy, Prometheus stole a spark, a seed of fire. He carried it on the stem of a reed, a bush that burns very slowly, and handed it to men who were able to reheat and cook the food. And then came Zeus' revenge, even more terrible and twisted. First, he punished mankind forever through Pandora's box, another very interesting myth that we have already seen, TikTakers. The second part of the punishment fell on Prometheus. He had him taken to the Caucasus, a mountain range between southern Russia and northern Turkey, where he was chained by Hephaestus and sent an eagle to devour his liver. Being immortal, Prometheus' liver regenerated again every night, and the next morning the eagle returned to eat it again and again. This torture should have lasted forever, but Hercules, who on one of his trips passed by, took pity on him and freed him, killing the eagle with an arrow. As a reminder of his condemnation and to avoid doing it again, Prometheus made a metal ring and attached a piece of the rock to which he was chained, and carried it with him forever. Hence, the custom of men to wear rings as a souvenir of important events. The myth of Prometheus serves to remind men what happens when they play God and aspire to powers that are beyond their means, like creating artificial life, as it happens to the leading scientist of the novel Frankenstein, also called the modern Prometheus. In fact, one of the versions of the legend places the Titan as the creator of human beings. This would be the one with the most influence on Mary Shelley and other writers that made their own version of the myth. such as Bernard Shaw with Pygmalion or Gustav Meyrink with the Golem. And thus, although we aren't crazy scientists, we can also draw a conclusion from the history of Prometheus. That is, although sometimes we want to become the hero, we shouldn't play with forces beyond us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, and if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!